interface, and that's why we interface with the ministry on every level. On every level. On every level, you know. So, and if you have, I also spoke with, you know, Asen is our technical director in FIFA. We had an interface, I had an interface personally with him on some of these coaches. And of course, Mourinho, I mean, these are two of the best coaches in the world. And we also interface with I'm not going to tell you that we didn't talk to Mourinho, we spoke to Mourinho. Even the minister spoke with Mourinho, you know, so. And there's nothing wrong about that because he is equally as concerned the way we are, so. And there's no, we want to. If you can see that our last coach for 5 years, it was just for 5 years plus, because we don't want to be going back and forth, going back and forth, going back and forth. So we didn't want to make any mistake. We want to make sure we dot all the I's, you know, and everything will come in a near perfect situation. If the coach will give us the Nations Cup, the coach will be drafted immediately. So I'm not going to tell you that so what's the essence of employing? If our technical committee, they submit their report, and the executive committee say yes, and we are ready. So what are you waiting for? You know me, I don't know how to observe what? What are they observing? It's coming here to work, and it's coming here to work immediately. Or I talked with all of them. And when I was talking to one of them yesterday, he's using, I was just too impressed, using the WeScout, scouting all our players. He was telling me about things I don't even know about our players. He was telling me things that I don't even know. The strength of each player. It was new to me and quite impressive. From Ndidi to Balogun to the strength of each player. He was telling me the strength of each player, and it just took me off guard. So it's not, we're not just going to experiment. You can't experiment with Nigeria. Why can't we win the Nations Cup? We have the youngest and most enterprising team right now. Yes, Iguabon can do it, but also know somebody can do it better.
Well, it's no longer news that Nigeria now has a new head coach. And how far so far? Where do we go from here? That's what this conversation is about, and we're having it with Shuaib Gara Gombe, who is former chairman, Gombe State Football Association, former secretary, Nigeria Football Stakeholders Forum, and chief executive officer, Green White Green Sports Center Limited. He joins us from our studio in Abuja. Thanks for joining us this morning. And we also have Mr. Kunle Sholaja, who is a sports analyst and editor-in-chief, Sports Village Square. He's here with us in the studio. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you very much. Nigeria's head coaches have changed since 1949, about 43, almost 45 times now. And we have had quite a number of Nigerians. We have had to recycle Nigerian head coaches from time to time, and everyone else has been foreign, and now another foreign coach. I'm just wondering, how did that news hit the sports community?
Well, naturally, most Nigerians have been expecting a change. Most people, including myself, were not really impressed about the performance of Gennaro Roy. All we just hear from him from time to time is that, oh, I have the youngest team. I have the youngest team. So are you saying that that team was programmed never to grow, and he has the longest tenure, either single or cumulative? That you have coaches going and coming. So if you add all the period they serve here in Nigeria, they were all below one single tenure of Gennaro Roy. and we never got any positive result. We never had any developmental agenda from him, let alone implementing such. We've had foreign coaches before. We've had one Yugoslavian, popularly called Father Tiko. I think his real name is Tihoma Jelisavic. He went around every part of Nigeria, even remote area, to really exhume players. One of such was Thompson Usie, who wasn't even playing for a top-flight club. So, but when you have this fixation that all your players must be based abroad, two things will be happening. One, the domestic league will be killed. The domestic player will believe that for me to make any impact, for me to be able to even dream of getting to the national team, I have to cross the border, even if it means going to Benin Republic. So, and that is not even good for the psyche of our players.
One wonders, well, there are so many things to say, even from that little thing that you've said, because one wonders what happened to the local league of the 80s. But let me take on Mr. Gombe in our Abuja studio. First of all, your own opening comments as well. How did this news hit you of a new head coach for Nigeria's football teams?
Thank you so much. Ayo, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you so much for this opportunity to at least air my view on this. For me, there is nothing hysteric about the appointment of the new coach, neither there is anything hysteric too. It's unfortunate that we found ourselves in the same cycle, coming back to where we were. First and foremost, I had my good friend Kule there talking something very sensible, where he talked about the kind of coaches that have passed through Nigerian football. First and foremost, the administrators or managers of our football never had a developmental program. That has been the #1 problem. We never had a developmental program. And that is why we go and look for foreign coaches, and now we are even looking for foreign players. Because a country that in 1985 won the first maiden edition of FIFA Under-17 World Cup, that is 36 years ago. Today, we are struggling to even qualify for World Cup. Something is wrong somewhere. That means we never had a program. We never have development. All the NFA does is to appoint coaches for competitions, not for development. When you appoint a coach and you tell him, qualify me for this, qualify us for that, and that is the end of it. When he does not meet that expectations, you sack him. And that is where we find ourselves in this situation. But if you appoint a coach for development, he gives you a program over a period of time. You can imagine when they brought Sunday Olise, they said they have brought Pep Guardiola of Africa. That Sunday Olise is going to give us a 5-year development program. They took him to stock exchange. They used him as a model and said that he himself confessed that he's going to give us, Nigeria will play a scientific football. Where was Sunday Olise's program? When he left, Lei Shuabu Amadu was still there as technical director of NFA. He also had a program, 5 years distant program. He never had the chance to do it because that was not what the NFA wanted. We had a very successful coach in this country, Clemens Westerhoff. He came in over the period of 5 years. Kenero had 6 years. Westerhoff, in 5 years, he gave us the most entertaining team in the world. How did Westerhoff achieve that? Westerhoff had been to Calabar to watch Calabar Rovers, and that's where he got Finidi George. He has been to Maiduguri to watch El Kenemi. That's where he got Barnabas Emenga. He went to Mina to watch Niger Tornadoes. That's where he got Tijani Babangida. He went to Boko to watch BCC Lions. That's where he got Moses Paco. He went to Kano. He watched Kano Pillars. That's where he got Nasiru Jibril. He went to Kaduna. He watched Renchas. That's where he got Daniel Amokachi, Tajuddin Oyekami, and the rest of it. Now, when you look at this, that was why in the first year he went to Algiers. He never promised us the Nations Cup in Algeria. Our first match was 4-1. We ended up playing the finals with Algeria. He went back 4 years after, following his program, because he has been going to every nook and canary of this country, discovering players. And he built a team. He went to Tunisia, got the Nations Cup, qualified us for the World Cup. He went to USA 94 and produced the most entertaining team in the world. Now, with all this, it was the remnants of the successes of the Westerhoff era that his assistant, Bonfrey Joe, took over, and he went to Atlanta 96 and gave Africa the first gold medal in football. Now, with all this, when you look at it, then you come back to those managing our football. You find out that they never had a program.
We'll come to
there
that
was a time they introduced...
My apologies,
yes.
Mr. Gombe. You've raised a very, very valid point in that, talking about a developmental plan. Mr. Sholaja, that would probably be a question, that a number of people will be asking. And he said, you heard him say, that if all the NFF is interested in is appointing a foreign coach and giving the guy a task of win a competition for me or I sack you, what's your take on that? We do need a development plan, wouldn't you say?
Of course. What we do here in Nigeria is probably football promotion, not football development. Promotion in the sense that we just want to use football to hype ourselves, not necessary to use to make Nigeria a model football nation. If you mention Brazil, the first thing that comes to your mind is football. If you mention Germany in sports, you think of football. But when you mention Nigeria, even in Africa, football may not be the first thing that will strike you, especially since the eras of very big stars in the country have expired. In those days, when you introduce yourself abroad, I'm from Nigeria, the first, Okocha, Kanu. But now, if you say you are a Nigerian abroad, which player will somebody mention?
But what happened, Mr. Shola?
Yeah.
My apologies. Let me drive this home, and maybe if I succeed in provoking you, we would remember the Lekan Baloguns of this world, the Lekan Salamis of this world, and so many other, Thunder Balogun and the rest of them.
Those ones were driven by passion.
Yes, my point here being, we had a trajectory, especially in football in this country. We had a trajectory of successes, so to speak, of big names. Lekan Salami, Thunder Balogun, up until the 80s, the Segun Adegbamis, the Kunle Awesus, the Samuel Ojebodes, the Best Ogedegbes, and the rivalry between the Rangers International and ICC shooting stars of those days, and then the Leventis, the Abiola Babes, and we had a trajectory.
Yeah, that was a product of having a good technical department and having a good coach that was given specific role, not just that, handle our national team. Help us find the stars wherever they could be. If it means going to the moon, go there. That's why I mentioned some players who never featured in major clubs like Rangers, Shooting Stars. You talk about somebody like Godwin Odie. He was probably one of the best last man of defense Nigeria ever produced. Forget about the era of 1977. He never played for any big clubs. He was playing for National Bank in Lagos, which was not even in the first tier of Lagos League. If somebody had not gone to watch him and bring him out, you probably not have had a player like Godwin Odie. If somebody had not gone to Asaba Tex, to see somebody like Thompson Usiye, we will never have had a player like Thompson Usiye. But what we have now is just, I'm the coach, the mandate given me is to win. And that in itself is destroying our football. Because so I remember a coach, or the coach of the under 17 of France, something Jordan was his name in 2001. He had handled the French under-16 team, as they call their own, from 1987 till 2001. They didn't even qualify for the then World Youth Championship, which is now the Under-17 World Cup. They didn't qualify at all, yet it was retained. Because they have a yardstick to measure his effectiveness, what he was doing. When France won the World Cup in 1998, 78% of those players were product of Jordan. Because what they were using to measure his effectiveness is how many players did he discover for us.
Now, Mr. Shulajan, this is probably where we'll begin to wrap up with both of you gentlemen. So what would be your agenda, irrespective of whatever assignment may have been given to Jose Presidio? What would be your agenda as a sports enthusiast and someone who's been active in the sector? For both of you, but let me begin with you. What would be your agenda for this new head coach? I mean, if we're to develop sports, or especially football, in Nigeria?
My agenda is that, first and foremost, he must, and I emphasize that, he must be domiciled in Nigeria, not staying in Portugal and saying he's monitoring players through television or through internet or anything. He must be here, because those players we are talking about, their league is on television. We watch them day in, day out. But the ones here are the ones we need to discover and also work on their psyche. So it needs to be domiciled in Nigeria. Westerhoff was domiciled in Nigeria, and he was given, not even living in an hotel, he was given a house. So he could travel to anywhere and discover players, and has his contacts too, who will help him to scout for players.
Okay.
Not necessarily just depending on internet-based reports to get his players, looking for Nigerians born abroad to play for us.
Well, maybe because we now have the internet. Well, Mr. Gombe, what would be your own agenda for the new head coach?
First and foremost, Ayo, let me tell you, those managing our football first have to identify what is the commercial value of our Super Eagles. That is point number one. You have to value what you have. You have to value your products. So when we value our products, we understand the commercial value of our Super Eagles. Then we will then know how to sell it. We can't just be bringing all coaches, any coach who has failed in other global space and coming to manage our Super Eagles. It's just like bringing a Danford driver to go and pilot an aircraft or an airplane.
Has the coach failed before?
What?
The new coach, has he failed before?
He has failed in almost every other places he has. Go and check his CV and see. 70–75% of where he has worked, he has been sacked. We can't be turned to Nigeria or Super Eagles to a rehabilitation ground for destitute coaches. That's how they went to bring this General. He went and messed us up for 6 years. Now we are bringing another failure who has never won anything.
Isn't that too strong? I mean, for knowing that he's just started, we haven't even given him a chance.
No. Yes, of course, he has a CV. He has an antecedent. His antecedent is not fit for Nigeria. This guy is not fit to even coach Gombe United. Talk less of coaching the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So I repeat it. What is the commercial value of the Super Eagles? It is when you know the value of your product, then you can bring, because Nigeria, look, Super Eagles is a very big brand. We need a first-class coaches to come and coach us, not just any coach on the street to come and coach our Super Eagles. Then besides, let me even ask, what are the quality of the people in the technical committee of the Nigerian Football Federation?
Well, Mr. Gombe, we could continue on this conversation.
The chairman of the technical committee of the Nigerian Football Association today, what was its antecedents? In CAF, is the same person who is representing us in CAF. What was
Mr. Gombe, my sincere apologies.
Festus Onik Binde.
My apologies. We're completely out of time.
Ahmed Yusuf.
Well, we're completely out of time. I'm very sure we're gonna have to have you again to take on some of the issues that you have raised on this program today. But for now, we have to thank you very much for your perspectives on our program this morning about managing the Super Eagles. Shuaibu Gara Gombe is former chairman, Gombe State Football Association. He's former secretary, Nigeria Football Stakeholders Forum, and he's chief executive officer, Green White Green Sports Center Limited. Thank you so much for your time this morning. As well as Mr. Kunle Shulaja, sports analyst and editor-in-chief, Sports Village Square. Thank you for your time this morning.
You're welcome.